Hello ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here and welcome back to the Aether Revolt set review. This time we will be going over the multicolored cards of Aether Revolt, which are all that remains. And just as a reminder, these are my opinions and raw card evaluations, having never actually played with the cards before. If you would like to check out the previous reviews, just click the link in the description or the small pop-up in the upper right corner of the video, and it will take you to a handy-dandy playlist. So without further ado, let's begin. Ajani Unyielding. For 4, a green and a white, we get a 4 loyalty Ajani Planeswalker. Plus 2 loyalty, reveal the top 3 cards of your library, put all non-land permanent cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Minus 2 loyalty, exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. Minus 9, put 5 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control and 5 loyalty counters on each other planeswalker you control. Well, first things first, how can I not talk about the art on this card? It's amazing. And at 6 mana, Ajani needs to do a lot. Luckily, he does just that. He draws you cards. His -2 ability is just straight up Swords to Plowshares, and his ultimate, while not incredibly likely to be relevant a ton of the time, is very good, pumping your creatures to the moon while making any other planeswalkers that you have out most likely able to ultimate immediately. A very solid planeswalker that should see substantial play. Dark Intimations. For 2, a blue, a black, and a red, we have a sorcery. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, then discards a card. You return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand, then draw a card. When you cast a Bolas planeswalker spell, exile Dark Intimations from your graveyard. That planeswalker enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on it. So this card is like a miniature Cruel Ultimatum. If Grixis Control has what it takes to be a deck in the new meta, I think that this card is an auto-include in that. It gets even better if Nicol Bolas turns out to be really good in Amonkhet, but that's maybe looking too far ahead. I'm very excited to cast this spell though. Hidden Stockpile. A white and a black enchantment with Revolt. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. You may pay 1 and sacrifice a creature to scry 1. This triggers Revolt consistently, for itself and for any other Revolt triggers that you may need. You only need 1 creature to get it going. Also, will make multiple servos if you have more than one of them on the battlefield, as they do stack. It's important to remember though that this only triggers once, no matter how many Revolt triggers you have, and only when your permanents leave the battlefield on your turn, not on your opponent's turn. I could see this being played in a Revolt-centric build, or perhaps the return of Aristocrats? Maverick Thopterist. 3, a blue and a red for a 2/2 human artificer with Improvise. When Maverick Thopterist enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. Well, this is definitely not as good as Pia and Kieran or Whirler Rogue. I still think it's a card that goes straight into Thopters though, and that's a deck that can really take advantage of the Improvise part of this card. Yet another card that generates 3 bodies for the cost of just that 1 card is just what this deck wants, I think. Oath of Ajani. Green and white for a legendary enchantment. When Oath of Ajani enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Planeswalker spells you cast cost 1 generic mana less to cast. A pump effect for your creatures. Cost reduction for your walkers. And if you happen to cast the second one, aids with Delirium. What's not to like about Oath of Ajani? Outland Boar. 2, a red and a green for a 4/4 boar. Outland Boar can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Well, we finally hit a gold card that's not very good. Even if White Weenie is the entire meta, those decks play Anthem effects and can probably handle the Boar just fine. Most of their creatures are 2 power already. Just seems very, very underwhelming. Renegade Rallyer. 1 a green and a white for a 3/2 human warrior with Revolt. When Renegade Rallyer enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, return target permanent card with converted mana cost 2 or less to the battlefield from your graveyard. The Revolt trigger on this is without a doubt extremely powerful. Can recur Evolving Wilds, Renegade Map, or any other card that costs 2 or less that happens to be in your graveyard. Casting him without the Revolt trigger is much less exciting though. Still, a very powerful card that will just take a little work to reach his full potential. Renegade Wheelsmith. 1 a red and a white for a 3/2 dwarf pilot. Whenever Renegade Wheelsmith becomes tapped, target creature can't block this turn. This seems great in an aggressive deck like red-white vehicles. You also get his trigger if he just attacks. No need to crew with him to do that. Rogue Refiner. 1 a green and a blue for a 3/2 human rogue. When Rogue Refiner enters the battlefield, draw a card, and you get 2 energy counters. Now, here is the slightly larger Elvish Visionary that we really want to be playing. I mean, sure, it doesn't have Breach, but you also don't need to trigger Revolt, and it gives you 2 energy. Probably a staple for Teamer energy, and perfectly fine in any blue-green shell. Spire Patrol. 2 a white and a blue for a 3/2 human soldier with flying. When Spire Patrol enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer is a good cost. Tapping a creature down for 2 of your attack steps is also great. Teaming this up with Reflector Mage and Spell Queller might make this card a part of a very dynamic trio. Tezzeret the Schemer. 2 a blue and a black for a 5 loyalty Tezzeret Planeswalker. +1 loyalty, create a colorless artifact token named Ethereum Cell. With tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. -2 loyalty, target creature gets +X, -X until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5. Tezzeret is very strong, though I don't know if we have the artifacts necessary to allow him to reach his full potential in duels. His plus puts him at 6 loyalty while ramping you and fueling Improvise and his other abilities. Also, 6 loyalty is very high for a 4-cost walker, and only 1 off of what he needs to ultimate. His -2 allows him to protect himself, and his -7 is very good, probably game-winning, with proper setup. Tezzeret's Touch. 1 a blue and a black for an enchantment aura. Enchant Artifact. Enchanted Artifact is a creature with base power and toughness 5/5 in addition to its other types. When Enchanted Artifact is put into a graveyard, return that card to its owner's hand. So this card is a little hard to evaluate. It's a strong effect for sure, as was evidenced by Ensoul Artifact in Standard way back when that was in, and by way back I mean a year or so ago. But, just like with all the other Artifacts Matter cards that we've seen, it's unclear if we have the density of good artifacts needed to fuel them. Weldfast Engineer. 1 a black and a red for a 3/3 human artificer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Another super strong card for red-black aggro with Copters and Scroungers. Lots of synergy for that deck in this set. Winding Constrictor, a black and a green for a 2/3 snake. If one or more counters would be placed on an artifact or creature you control, that many of those counters plus one are placed on that permanent instead. If you would get one or more counters, you get that many of those counters plus one instead. Important to note when evaluating this card that energy counters are placed on the player, so that will increase any energy you gain by 1 energy counter each time. Also worth noting that he can't add counters to planeswalkers, it's only creatures or artifacts you control. That all being said, if green-black +1/+1 counters wasn't a top tier thing before, it may certainly have the tools it needs to get there now. Also, this card is fine in an energy deck, if you can find other reasons to splash black, because I don't think it's worth splashing just for Winding Constrictor. And that brings us to the end of both the gold cards and all of the cards coming to Magic Duels in Aether Revolt. What are you most looking forward to playing with? No need to ask what you wish we'd gotten, as we actually got everything in the gold cards this time. Let's rank our top 3 cards, shall we? And for the second time, we have an honorable mention, and that is Tezzeret the Schemer. An honorable mention because it's just unclear how much support he needs to really do his thing. But if there is enough for him to do his thing, then his thing is really good. And coming in at number 3, Ajani Unyielding. Number 2, Rogue Refiner. And at number 1, Oath of Ajani. And that brings us, finally, to the end of Aether Revolt. Overall, what seems to be a set with a high median power level. I'm anxious to see how it shakes up the Duels meta, and I hope you'll join me on that journey. And of course, you are more than welcome to partake of any other content I put out as well. If you've enjoyed this series, please leave a like below, it really does help tremendously, and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more of my videos in the future. I have been Tevaron, and until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.